Gerund in ing verbs in English are used in a variety of ways. They can be used to form continuous tense, present continuous, past continuous, future continuous.
Express simulation actions and knows gerunds such as subjects or objects or to indicate activities or states that are progress.
For example, be verbs in "he is paying", "she was waiting", "they will be coming", "we will be staying", "I will have been leaving".
ing. For example, she enjoys reading mystery novels or lazy Sunday of 10 months.
In front found I read an interesting article in the newspaper today. After a lingered like bee or sound your neighbor sometimes very interesting afternoon. His dead man is standing over two.
We can use the ing form of a verb as a noun, as an adjective. Ing nouns are nearly always a continuous. They can be used as a subject of a verb ing form as adjectives. The ing adjective can come.
Comparatives and superlatives are grammatical forms used to compare degrees of qualities between two or more elements. Comparatives. Comparative of superiority. It is formed by adding "er" to the adjective to compare two things. Comparative of inferiority. Less is used before the adjective at the decrease in a quality is compared. Comparative of equality. As adjective as is used to indicate equality.
Superlative of superior. It is formed by adding est to the adjective or using the most before an adjective. Superlative of inferiority, the least used before the adjective to indicate the lowest quantity or quality. Superlative of quality, as the adjective as is used to indicate maximum equality.
For example, be comparative superlatives. His cat is smart, tag yours. Tag puppy is the smilers of the later.
For example, comparatives and superlatives. For example, the smartphone is a slate but that one is more beautiful.
The comparative form in English uses the suffix here and is followed by the conjugation that. In Spanish, we use more than. The superlative form use the suffix est.
You can also compare it with your change of the form of the adjective by using in the sentence.
The simple past of the verb be in English is used to talk about past situation or states. Here you have the affirmative, negative, and interrogative forms.
Affirmative. I, he, she, it was, you, we, there were. Negative. I, he, she, it was not can also be contracted as wasn't. You, we, they were not can also be contracted as weren't. Interrogative. Was I, he, she, it? Was I, he, she, it? Were you, were they? Was, were you, we were.
For example, be past simple of the verbs be. The party was amazing. I was not in the office. Weren't you sad yesterday?
Example past simple of the verb. Positive, negative, interrogative. For example, affirmative. Last summer the weather was a faster lot. And for example, negative. And the concert wasn't as lively as we expected. If for example, interrogative is were you at the meeting yesterday?
The verb to be in the past tense is conjugated in following way if you conjugate the verb with the pronouns he, she, and it.
You must is was, but if you conjugate it with you when antate what the met were put.
Expression there was is used in the past tense to refer to the existence or presence or something in the singular.
On the other hand, there were is used to refer to the existence or presence of several things in the plural. Both expressions are used to describe past situations or events.
For example, be Terran was, Terran Warren. Terran was a child, Terran Warren some chairs. Terran was a bank, Terran was some banks. Terran was a son, Terran Warren any shops. Terran was not a shop, Terran were not any shops. Was Terran a park, Terran weren't Terran any restaurant.
For example, there was and there were. For example, in the whole attic there were dusty books and collection of vintage photographies.
It is the past form of there is, there are, just as in the simple past we will use there was.
When the noun accompanied is singular countable, noun is countable one and there were with plural countable nouns.
Imperatives are verbal forms used to give orders, make requests, or express instructions directly. Here are some guidelines for its use. Affirmative. To give a direct order or instruction to a person or group.
Negative form to express a provision or advice against an action. It is formed by adding don't before the verb in its base form, request form using please, adding please to an affirmative form substance the request.
For example, be imperatives. Be happy to be happy.
For example, imperatives. Please turn off the lights before lighting the room.
These verbs in the negative form maintain the same rule as regular verbs or for the second person singular you.
We just have to take your conjugation and is to the end.
Regular and irregular verbs in English behave differently in their past simple and past participle forms. Regular verbs they follow a predictable pattern in their conjugation. The past simple and past participle form is created by adding ed to the base verb.
Irregular verbs. They don't now follow the regular pattern or adding eth to form the past simple and past participle. Each irregular verb has specific forms for the past simple and past participle that must be learned.
For example, be regular and irregular verbs. I wasn't a ghost movie on Saturday. Yesterday and book on laptop.
For example, regular and irregular verbs. For example, regular. He played basketball yesterday. And for example, irregular. Is she ate pizza for dinner?
Regular verbs in English are those that only need to add to ending "ed" to from their past tense or participle. On the other hand, irregular verbs have different forms for the past and participle of each verb.
If it ends well, the letter D is added at that and conjugated it in the past tense if it ends in a consonant or another word another than e and it to the end.
The past simple in English is used to describe actions or situations complete at a specific time in the past. Here you have the affirmative, negative, and interrogative forms.
Affirmative. The verb is used in its past form for all people. Negative. Did not, didn't. The verb in its base form is used for all people. Interrogative. Did, subject, and verb is used in its base form.
For example, be simple past. Ein walken, ein did wall, did I wall.
Simple past. For example, positive. And in visited at the museum. For example, negative. They didn't play at tennis. For example, interrogative. Did you enjoy the concert?
When it comes to regular verbs, composing the past simple is very simple. We just have to add ending ed to its infinitive letters of the person we are referring to.
We also to have take into account some subtle change if the verb already ends in e. The word is used until the if the verb in a consonant more y it changes to a before the end succeeds.
Objective pronouns are used to function as direct or indirect objects in a sentence. Here are the objective pronouns in English.
I, you, him, her, it, use, them. These pronouns are used to avoid repetition of the noun, make a communication more fluid.
For example, be adjective pronouns. Wake up to the morning. What is the matter with it today?
Simple adjective pronouns. She gave the book to him.
The object pronoun isn't always right next to verb or positions it relates to. Separation commonly occurs with one when it's used as a relative pronoun or an interrogative pronoun. Same style, Wise recommends keeping the proposition and undertone together when impossible, but is not mandatory.
And that is present the person, people, or things acted be an action, an object pronoun normally appears after the verb a, he, tell, or proposition he, to.
Used to in English is used to express actions or situations that were common in the past but are no longer common.
Specifically used to call about habits or situations that were common in the past but have changed. If you want to express a specific action, it is recommended to use the past simple.
For example, be used to. I used to do. I used not to do. Using I to do.
Simple used to. I used to live in New York.
We use it to more infinitive to talk about, but a situation that is no longer true. It tells use that word was a reparation action or state the past when has no change.
She used to be a long distance runner when she was younger. I didn't used to sleep very well, but then I started doing yoga and it really helps.
The past continuous in English is used to describe an action in progress at a specific time in the past. Here are the affirmative, negative, and interrogative forms. Affirmative. The past tense of the verb to be was where the main verb in its current form, ing, is used.
The past tense of the verb to be wasn't weren't, not the main verbs in gerund from ing is used. Interrogative. The past tense of the verb to be was were Subject the main verb is used in its gerund from ing.
For example, be past continuum. I was playing, I was not playing, was I playing?
Continuous. Positive, negative, interrogative. For example, positive. We were studying for the positive exam. For example, negative. She wasn't working yesterday. If, for example, interrogative, were they watching a movie?
Was in the past continuous tenses formula to form a sentence in the past continuous tense we use the verb to be, was, were.
Followed by the present participle of the verb. Verb more ing. The formula is subject more was were, more verb, more ing, more object, more other words.
Both words can be used to express simultaneous events, but the choice between when and while depends on the temporal nouns you want to convey. When focus more on a specific moment, while
highlights the simultaneity of two actions or situations. Remember that when can be used either that be begin or in the middle of a sentence, while is usually placed at the beginning or middle.
For example, be liking when and why. Is was walking home while the trees prepare the haze. When you see the sick for ring.
For example, linking and will and while. For example, in like to listen to music and while cooking.
When and while are two most known words to have in your vocabulary when is used with a specific the action and while is used with a duration of time.
Sometimes a sentence can use when or while, and your choice simply depends of you want you talk about a specific action or a duration.
the future will in English is used to express actions or situations that will occur in the future and are not planned or inevitable.
Also used to make prediction promises after an spontaneous decision.
For example, be future will and will arrive soon. We will come to the party. With is stop rain be tomorrow.
Example future will. I think it will rain tomorrow.
Where are you going to? Where are you going to back? Where you won't have songs a child and the song probably won't have been kids a popular keeps it in mind when you're wearing something formal and deciding on whether to use will or going to.
The structure for a future tense with will is subject. More will, more base of a verb. Imagine in of Queen is hit song. We will rock you. Disintegrate the difference between will and going to.
The future with going to in English is used to express future plans or intentions.
It is used when there is present evidence that something will happen in the future.
For example, be future going to. I will stomp this warrant. I will pick you up tomorrow. They will repaint my TV tomorrow. You will not go to the party. Will you marry me?
For example, future going to. For example, they are going to visit Paris next summer.
Sentences occasion any confusion. However, in the formal greens, it's best to know the distinction.
Structure of using going to in future. This is subject more form of to be, am is are, more going to more base of a verb. In casual speech and reading, will and going to can be interchanged without chanting the meaning.
The zero conditional in English is used to express general facts or universal truths.
It is structured with if followed by the present simple in both clauses.
For example, be zero conditional plan grown if the rains. She doings feel going if she doings work.
Example conditional zero. If you hate ice, it melts.
As in all conditional sentences, the order of the clauses is not fixed. You may have to change the pronouns and adjust predications when you change the order the clauses, but the meaning is identical.
The structure of the zero conditional is if more present simple, present simple. In zero conditional sentence, the sentence in both parts of the sentence is the simple present. That things happen.
Adverbial phrases are groups of words that serve the function of an adverb in a sentence.
These phrases add information about when, where, how, or to what extent an action occurs. They can consist of on one or several words, when, where, as.
For example, be adverbials person. A quality asked me to leave the house.
For example, adverbial phrases. And she finished the work and he soon hurry.
They are typical from the ending and killer of incenting an incredible graded very some way before another adverb.
Phrase or adverbial phrases is a group of words that act in an adverb to modify the main clause of a sentence. Adverbial phrases can be made up of two adverbs.
It is used to express possible future situations and their probable consequence. It is a constructed with the conditional clause that uses the simple present and the main clause that uses the simple future.
It is important to note that the first conditional is used for realistic or possible situations. In the future, unlike more hypothetical or improbable conditional that will be expressed with other types of conditional.
For example, be first conditional. If this turn happens, that thing will happen.
For example, first conditional. For example, if it rains tomorrow and we will have to picnic indoors.
More verb if more present simple and an alternative to will, it's possible to complete the second part of first conditional sentencing with a modal verb or an imperative.
There is a 50% chance that the first part of this sentence, the action following if, to make a sentence in the first conditional, we use if more present simple, will want more verb. Like all conditional, we can also invert this structure.
Modal verbs in English are a special group of auxiliary verbs that are used to express abilities, possibilities, permissions, obligations, suggestions, and other shades of meaning in a sentence.
Common examples of modal verb include can, could, will, would, shall, should, might, and must.
For example, be modal verbs. You can think me at the park.
For example, modal verbs. And for example, you should take a break if you feel tired.
Modal verbs are used to express certain hypothetical conditionals, such as admissibility, capability, or request. Therefore, in the next section, they are used constant member to inflection in the meaning.
Modal verbs show possibility, intent, ability, or necessary. Common examples of modal verbs include can, shall, and must. Because there are type of auxiliary verb, helper verb, they use alongside to infinitive from of the main verb of a sentence.
Be able to is used to express the ability or ability to perform an action at some specific time. It is often used in situations where ability at
Particular time needs to be highlighted as opposite to general ability expressed with can.
For example, be able to I will be able to speak English within time I might trust him.
For example, be able to. For example, after week of practice and she was able to solve the complete math problem.
In past tense, in calls in when I was 5, and in the conditional tense, in call to if you help me.
Be able to is used to express ability to do something. I was able to swim when I was 5. It is sometimes possible to use a modal verbs can, but only in the present tense I can speak English.
in English. They are used when the subject and object of a sentence are the same person or things. This pronoun adds the idea of reflection or reciprocity to the action of the verb.
Reflexive pronouns in English are myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. They are used to according to the grammatical person and the number of the subject in a sentence.
For example, be reflex pronouns. Be yourself a nice look.
Example, reflexive pronouns. He taught himself how to play the guitar.
The following can be considered altered with regard to reflexive pronoun if the object and the subject of a verb and the same use a reflexive pronoun of the object. Houses do not use it.
A reflexive pronoun is a specific type of pronoun that uses the object of a verb when it refers to the same noun as the subject of that verb. In English, these are the pronouns that end with self or selves, e.g., himself, myself, or selves, etc.
Both forms I want and I want like indicate a desire or intention to perform an action in the future. The choice between them will depend on the tone you want to use in the conversation.
I would like to is usually more formal and polite in certain contexts.
For example, be what to eat like to. What do you want to do you with it?
Example, would like to. For example, it would it like to learn a new language for friends Spanish.
I like to the conditional mood. I would, which is more tentative than the intent request. I like to hold a meeting is more indirect, and the verbs more polite and the police hold a meeting good. I would like to is even more indirect conversion adversity.
We always follow it want with a complement of some kind. The complement completes the meaning of the clause. Can be a noun, a pronoun as an object, or a verb to infinitive form, or an object plus a verb into the infinitive.
The second conditional is used to talk about hypothetical situations and their possible outcome. Unlike the first conditional, the actions expressed in the second conditional tend to be more improbable.
Conditional is used to talk about situations that are not true at the current moment or that are unlikely to happen in the future. The structure of the second conditional is as follows if subject past simple subject word infinitive without to.
For example, be seconds conditional. If it rainer you will get it. I think wonder what so bad we will go to the park.
For example, second conditional. If I won the lottery, I will travel around the world.
I won't worry if they were you. The structure is usually if, more past simple, more word, more infinitive.
When if is followed by the verb be, it is grammatically correct to say if I were, if he were, if she were, and if it were.
Some uses of the infinitive pronouns someone, sometime, and somewhere are as follows. Someone and somebody are used to refer to an unidentified or unknown person. For example, I need to talk to someone about this problem.
Something is used to refer to an undefined or unknown thing. For example, I think I like something at restaurant. Somewhere is used to refer to an unified or unknown place. For example, I want to go somewhere warm for my vacation.
For example, be somatics, there is some void on the door.
For example, someone, something, somewhere. For example, someone. There is someone white for yellow studies. For example, some meeting. I can find my case and did you see some meeting on the table? For example, somewhere. Let's go somewhere, get to the phone.
Some body, something, somewhere are indefinite pronouns. They function in similar words. Some we use the affirmative clauses in the question expressing a particular.
We often use the pronoun. They refer back to singular, someone or somebody. When we do know if the person is male or female.
Phrasal verbs that are formed by combining a verb with a preposition or an adverb. These verbs are very common in English and are used in different contexts.
For example, look up means searching for information in a dictionary or on the internet. Put off means to postpone something for another time. Get over means to overcome something.
For example, be present bells. My telephone broke down. I broke up there matter in our conversation. She never broke down the tenth beep of the mind.
Simple phrasal verbs. Turn on the light, please. For example, to sit put of the meeting until next week.
Partial verbs are made up of two or more words. They usually consist of a verb more and verb or a verb more preposition.
Can have more than one meaning depending on the context in which they are used.
Gerunds and infinitives are verb forms used in English. Gerunds are verbs that end in ing and are used as nouns.
Infinitives, on the other hand, are verbs used with the word to. For example, I want to learn English. In this case, to learn is an infinitive that functions as direct object of the verb want.
For example, be herons and infinity and as we ever die, unlike swimming.
Example Heron and infinitives. For example, Heron. Enjoy singing in the scan. For example, infinitive. I want to learn to play the guitar.
Functions of gerunds are the verb used as subject or subject in the sentences by adding ing at the end of the verb.
The functions of infinitives are to be used as subjects, adverbs, or adjectives in sentences by adding extra words to before the verb.
Relative clauses are subordinate clauses that are used to add additional information about the noun or pronoun to which they refer.
These sentences are made up of a relative pronoun, whom, was, which, that, and a verb.
For example, be a relative clause. I am the one to grape, you are white.
Example relative clauses. The book that bought yesterday is one the total.
A relative pronoun or adverb general forms and points back to the noun or pronoun they modify.
And like all clauses, both dependent and the independent. Relative clause have a subject and a verb.
The present perfect is a verb tense that is used to link the past with the present. It is used to talk about actions that begin in the past and continue in the present. Actions that occurred at a non-specific time in the past.
Action that occurred in the past would have a connection to the present, and actions that began in the past and recently counted.
For example, be present perfect and I will use finite my exam.
For example, present perfect. I have visited Paris 3 times.
Past progressive tense in verb form used the after to an action that was happening at the time in the past.
The present perfect, however, the third person singular, e.g., he, she, and it, uses has instead of have.
The present perfect progressive is used to talk about actions that began in the past and continue in the present.
For example, she has been studying English. The present perfect progressive is also used to talk about action that occurred in the past but have a connection to the present.
For example, be present perfect progressive. You had been making tar sandwich and morning.
For example, present perfect progressive. For example, she has been studying for the exams all day.
The present perfect progressive is formed by the following formula: subject more have more been more present particle of mind verb more object.
Is used to say that an event or action is, was, or will be continually occurring, but that is, was, or will be complemented at a later time or that in relates to a later time.
But used to refer to two people or things that are considered a group and is followed by a plural noun. Either is used when two people or things are thrown of as individual elements and is followed by a singular noun.
Example, either was is acceptable, neither is used to when to think of two people or things as individual elements and you are stating something negative about them and is followed by a singular noun. For example, neither report mentioned the Americans.
For example, be Bob, Eater, Nater. I'm Bob, a cat and dog. I'm Eater, a cat, a dog. I'm what neither a cat nor a dog.
For example, both Heather and Nathan. For example, both my sister are coming for the party. For example, Heather. I can hate Heather pizza or pasta for dinner. For example, neither of them likes coffee.
Used alone, i.e., when not followed by or the binary, hater and nature are used the same way as both with the following difference.
Either and neither are never directly followed by an article, determinator, or a pronoun. Either is a singular determinant or pronoun.
To refer to an action that occurred in the past before another action in the past. In this case, the first action is conjugated in past perfect, while the second, the most recent, in past simple.
In some situations, I can be used conditional sentences. For example, if you had told me before, I would have helped you.
For example, be past perfect. I had used laid the pack with the poly or read.
Example past perfect. By the time we arrived, the movie had already started.
We used past perfect simple, had more past participle to talk about time. You took our time point in the past.
We can also use before, more past perfect, to show that action was not done or was incompleted when the past simple action happened.
The past perfect progressive is a tense in English used to talk about an action that began in the past and continued until another time in the past.
It's also used to talk about an action that began in the past and continued until a specific time in the past.
For example, be past perfect progressive. I'm being bullying. And I'm being bullying. And I being bullying.
For example, past perfect progressive. He had been working on the project for many months before it was complete.
The past perfect progressive tense in a verb form used to refer to an action that is ongoing at the time in the past. The past progressive is formed using
Past tenses of the auxiliary verb be and I was were, along with the present participle in form or main verb, e.g., I was talking.
The third conditional is a verb tense in English that it used to talk about the hypothetical situation in the past. It is used to talk about situations that did not occur in the past and what their consequence would have been if that condition occurred.
It is also used to express regent or regent for something that did not happen in the past.
For example, be true is conditional. If it and rained, you would have gotten with.
Example 3 conditional. If I had known it was your birthday, I would have bought a gift.
to create in the here conditional to make a sentence in the here conditional. We use if more past perfect.
Past perfect wouldn't have more past participle. If you had told me about the meeting, I would have come.
Separable phrasal verb are those that can be separated into two parts, the verb and the preposition on adverb. Separable phrasal verbs can be used with a direct object between the verb and the preposition or adverb, or after the preposition or adverb.
Inseparable phrasal verbs are those that cannot be separated in two parts. For example, the phrasal verb look after cannot be separated into look and after. Inseparable phrasal verbs are used to with the direct object after the preposition of adverb.
For example, be separable and inseparable. I'm two of my shoes. I'm log after you flight.
For example, separable and include in separable first verbs. Separable. I picked the song up. For example, inseparable. She come and across on entering book.
Partial verbs is a verb combined with a preposition or verb or both that means something different from the words that make the verb.
Separable phrasal verbs can be broken up by other words, while indispensable phrasal verbs cannot be separated by other words.
Reported speech is a verb tense in English used to tell what someone has said without citing the exact words. It is also known as indirect speech. Reported speech is used to talk about something that was said in the past and is being reported in the present.
For example, direct speech, I am going to the store. Reported speech, she said she was going to the store.
For example, be report speak kind IT next port please and export the next paper.
Example reported speech. Direct. She said I will be better tomorrow. For example, indirect. And she saw that and she will be there the next day.
Rule report speech. The first rule to choose a reporting verb and tense. The second rule is to change the parts of the point review.
Next, choose whether to include that or if. The fourth rule is to backshift the tense and reporting or question.
The present passive voice is a verb tense in English that is used to talk about an action that is being performed in the present and that is being received by the subject.
The structure of the present passive voice is a follow subject verb to be in a present past participle of the main verb. For example, the book is being read by students.
For example, be present passive voice, you might be promoted next year.
Example present passive voice. The cake is baked is married.
The formula auxiliary verb more subject more past participle verb to positive the question and the auxiliary verb more subject more negative adverb más past participle verb of negative question.
The passive voice is formed by using a form of the auxiliary verb be. Be, is, are, was, were, being, be, followed by the past participle of the main verb.
The past passive voice is a verb tense in English that is used to talk about an action that was performed in the past and that was received by the subject.
The structure of the past passive voice is as follows: subject verb to be in the past participle of the main verb. For example, the book was read by the student.
For example, be past passive voice, the house what built, the house what built, what the house built.
For example, past passive voice. The letter was written by Tom.
General rules of sentences in the simple past passive is object more was, were more past participle of main verb, third form in affirmative sentences was, were more object more past participle of main verb, third form in the case of question.
An example, he loves me, I am loved, we took our children or the circus.
Tag questions are short questions added to the end of a sentence to confirm or deny an idea. They are used to ask for confirmation or to ask a rhetorical question. The structure of the tag questions is as follows.
The sentence is affirmative, the tag questions is negative. If the sentence is negative, the tag questions is affirmative. For example, you like pizza, don't you? He doesn't like coffee, does he?
For example, be that quiz, you like sushi, do you?
Example tag question. You were coming to party, are you?
Question tag the tense of the something and the question tag must match. Use the contrary version of the helping verb and not of negative question verb.
If the sentiment is positive, the question tag must the negative and the oppositive in the case. Pronouns must always be used in question tags.